Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Erock'S Entertainment Rant, as brought to you by the King Frick Fresh Entertainment Group. I'm your host, Erock, and today on the show, we're still continuing our week of live podcasting. Tonight's episode, we will be live podcasting about Survivor 47 with co-host Matt. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Eric. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic. Let's try this setup. I don't know. I fiddle with the setups every 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is a close. This is a close up.
Yeah, this is a close up. Got this. This one just makes me feel big. And then this one, I don't see you at all.
Yeah, I don't see myself either.
Even when you talk, yeah. So go. We'll go here because this is far better. So we're back.
We are.
Survivor 40 several.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. No, we did have an episode. We have some characters.
We have some characters. We have an episode. I am a little bit offended that Jeff didn't use the term 40 several.
Yeah. Maybe he's saving it for later. Really, he's looking to build it for a crescendo moment. But yeah, I guess I'm kind of surprised he didn't get it coming right out of the gate as well.
I was expecting it, honestly. Like, at this point, I expect so much out of Jeff. Him yapping the whole time in my ear. But
yeah, I mean, and he kind of came out right away when they got on the beach, giving like his monologue.
I have thoughts.
Unnecessary in my mind, but go ahead.
I think he's lobbying. Is he lobbying to make an appearance on, or a cameo appearance on the Community movie?
Maybe.
Is that why he keeps pushing Community?
I don't know why he goes into this long diatribe about social experiment, Community, doing this, doing that. Like, everybody knows what they're doing there. Everybody knows you're going to have to vote somebody out. Whoever you vote out is going to have to vote for you to win. But yet he goes on like it's almost like he's, and look, big fan of Jeff. Big fan.
Oh, yeah, we love Jeff.
But it's almost like he's angling for like an Emmy or something. With his opening.
Doesn't he have enough? I feel like he's won at least 20 or 30 Emmys at this point.
Let's see.
Yeah, let's seriously see, because like I just feel like he's gonna run out of things. Like, what's his Spiel 50 gonna be?
Let's see here.
We know it's gonna be returnees. Like, what could he possibly say to this group in Survivor 50?
He has been nominated 12 times and
won 9.
Won 5.
5. Okay.
He won in 2011. He won in 8, 9, 10, 11. So he won in 2001 and then 8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay.
So it's been a while. It's been 13 years.
It's been a while. Yeah. Okay. I mean, now I can see why he would want to lobby for a.
I mean, he wasn't even nominated from 2011 to 2023. Now he's been back nominated the last couple of years. The winner this past year was Alan Cumming from The Traitors.
Makes sense. I mean, he's a great host.
Very interesting category. So the nominees in the category of Outstanding Host for Reality or Reality Competition Program, RuPaul, the entire Shark Tank cast, Alan Cumming, Kristen Kish from Top Chef, and Jeff Probst from Survivor. He was also nominated in 2023, or maybe he wasn't. No, I guess he wasn't in 2023, but RuPaul won in 2023. In case you were wondering.
I was wondering. I'm also wondering how the hell the whole cast of Shark Tank gets nominated for an Emmy.
Great question. Great question.
I can honestly tell you, I've never watched a full episode of Shark Tank.
Oh, we used to watch it a lot here. It's interesting. Good show. I enjoy it. You know, it's interesting to see what people come up with.
I watched Dragon's Den.
Never even heard of it.
It's the Canadian version of Shark Tank.
Okay.
It was
Makes
a
sense.
CBC. Kevin O'Leary was actually on both.
Okay.
So he was on Shark Tank and the Canadian one, Dragon's Den.
Interesting.
I think he started on Dragon's Den and then went to Shark Tank. Because I don't know which one was first, but we don't have to Google that. That's a whole other rabbit hole that we don't really need to go down.
No, we don't need to go down that one.
So yes, there is a lot of characters, and I feel like we can honestly say, I think we made some mistakes in our draft.
Truth be told,
You don't remember who you drafted.
I don't even know who's on my team. But I think I do remember that you had the person voted out, John.
I do. I'm going to go ahead and cross him off right now.
Right. I know that I have Sam.
He was early pick too.
I know I have Sam.
You do.
And I believe I also have, is the nurse on that tribe, is that Sierra?
You do have Sierra.
Yeah. And I remember you took the one from Chicago from me.
I did, and I'm proud of that one.
And I honestly don't even know who it is. And I don't know anyone else. I don't even know anyone else that I have. I think I have Andy.
No, I have Andy.
Oh, okay.
Andy was my 8th pick.
Good work.
So Andy was my last pick before you got to pick my last two. Before you got to pick my 9th pick for me.
Who was your last pick? Like, who was the last pick that you didn't have a choice with?
Teeny.
She was the last one?
She was the last one.
Huh. Kind of liked her, not going to lie.
I was indifferent. I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop with her.
Yeah.
You have Sam, Rome, TK, Sierra, Gabe, Anika, Soul, Tiana, and Kishin. And I have Asia, Genevieve, Caroline, had John, he's gone, Kyle, Sue, Rachel, and Andy. Rachel, Andy, and Teeny.
Yeah, Rome doesn't look like a great pick.
That's the one I was like, yeah, I think Andy for me was a bad one, but Andy was picked so low I can kind of like be okay with it. But Rome, you picked Rome second.
Well, I mean, I didn't know.
I know. Like I said, our first impressions are always wrong. So,
right. I mean, I literally looked at the cast 3 minutes before we started talking. I had no idea he was going to totally isolate himself 5 minutes into being on the beach. And
I have a funny reference to make when we talk about when we get to him with the well, but we'll get there when we get there.
Okay.
So let's dive into the episode.
Let's.
I got here right away. Here we go. And then, you know what's funny? Memory is funny. I watched this episode literally an hour ago. Or, sorry, not literally an hour ago. Literally finished watching this episode like 2 minutes before we got on. And I don't remember why I wrote some of my notes. Still.
It's a problem. I mean,
it's definitely a problem. It's definitely a problem. Because I wrote, okay, John. And I think John made a comment. But I don't remember what the comment was.
Well, I know they were asking him a lot of questions right out of the gate. Yeah, I'm not really sure why you would have written that one.
No.
But he was, like, I like John, and I don't want to jump too far ahead as we get towards the end, but he was definitely an interesting character. I guess my wife made a comment, obviously, since she knows we do a podcast. She's like, "Oh, there's a lot of podcasters on here."
Yes, I did notice that.
But so I don't mind John as a podcaster being on the show. I mean, he's just a random, not a random, but he doesn't do a Survivor based podcast.
No.
I'm not sure how I feel about a Survivor podcaster being on Survivor.
In Asia.
Correct.
That was one of the main reasons why I picked her first.
Yeah, I'm still not sure how I feel about it.
I mean, yes, there is. If she wins, I think we can revisit this topic of like not feeling like how we feel about it.
Like, I liked her. Like, I thought she was fun. But
yeah,
like,
oh no, she's great.
To me, and this is not specific to her whatsoever. It's kind of like pandering to a crowd.
Thought. Yeah. Okay. Oh, no, I thought there was going to be more.
No, I mean, because I've never listened to her podcast. I don't know who she podcasts with.
Rob Cesternino.
Okay.
Love
Rob. But so
Love
now
Rob.
You have like a former cast member who's brought on a person to podcast with him. I don't know if she's a regular or if it's just every so often she jumps on. But then it's like, okay, then we're picking this, and it would be similar for any person. It is not specific to her because I like her. I thought she was fun. It makes it seem.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's weird how I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like when they're picking the cast, it's like not. It just doesn't seem like, and again, I'm old, so it doesn't seem like it used to, like when it was Africa and Marquesas and China and those, where now it's just like, all right, we're going to go hand select certain people that we want.
Yeah. I can pick up what you're putting down a little bit. In terms of her with the RJP, I think she only ever does the draft with them when they do the Survivor draft, and then she's also mostly on the Big Brother.
Okay.
Once from what I've heard.
I've never heard it.
So I don't know necessarily, like, I don't know how that translates. Like, like being a podcaster and talking about the show to being on the show. If I ever got on the show, which knock on wood, someday I do, like, obviously I'll mention my podcast, but also, like, will I mention that to people that I am a Survivor podcaster? No, I don't think I would. I think I would mention that I'm a podcaster.
Well, she didn't mention it to anybody.
No, true.
Teeny obviously knew.
Yes, and Teeny's a social butterfly or Survivor fan.
Yeah, no, she's great. She's great. But I just don't know how I feel. It's kind of the same way I feel about when they put pro athletes on there, or like when they put Jimmy Johnson on there. Because and look, Jimmy Johnson, football legend.
Yes.
And I have
terrible
no problem
at the game.
Right. Well, right. I mean, but that's the different story. And like, I have no problem so much, but it's just like when you already pick somebody who's famous, it to me, it just makes the casting process seem strange, if that makes sense.
It does. No, the casting process for some of these shows are just bizarre.
You're right.
And but now we go into the episode continuing with TK's being a little overconfident because he said, "I looked at the cast and I immediately see $1 million check."
Yeah, I mean, unnecessary. You know, I mean,
Do you think
he's
they forced
obviously
him to say that?
the most athletic one there. But I mean,
I think Sam could rival that a little bit.
yeah, but I don't know how you just like when you know Survivor, like how do you look around and say, "Oh yeah, no one can compete with me." Like it doesn't matter if you're the best athlete in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The best athlete never wins this game, really.
No, never ever.
Or the strong. I mean, has there ever been where the strongest person? Because there's always somebody who's very muscular on the show, and you know, maybe Mike Holloway was the biggest guy in his season.
Yeah.
Um,
I would argue Rodney was a little bit
yeah, I'm just
more
trying to think.
muscular, but
Right, I'm just trying to
yeah.
think of like, I mean, it's never like the most dominating figure just by looking.
Mm-hmm.
Ever, rarely wins the game.
I have a counter argument. John Cochran.
The defense rests.
I had to throw that in there because technically he did win like 4 immunities or 4 individual challenges that season.
Well, no, and right.
I mean, but like I think I get what you're saying. Like you're thinking like physically fit guys,
right.
not like
and they always
Chris Underwood.
Yeah, Chris Underwood was fit, but he was small.
True.
I'm talking like the big, the
Like,
Danny
yes.
McRae's, the
the big
James,
musculars.
the James guys of the show.
Yes,
Um,
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, because they rightfully so, they've kind of equalized some of the challenges. Where remember the final, I think it was the final 4 or the final 5 or final 4 challenge always used to be having to run around through a maze and grab pieces, and now they've done it to where it's more hand-eye coordination type of stuff, and they've gone away from the long endurance challenges to that. So they've built
They
in
need to bring those back.
Yeah, I mean they've built in some equalizers, which is fine. But yeah, to initially make that comment by looking around, it's like, I mean, and I think I picked TK first, probably for the same reason, just by looking at him as an athletic guy. But it's just an absurd comment based on the history of the show.
Yeah, and you actually picked him third.
Oh,
Sam was your first pick. Sam was first overall this season.
And then Rome.
And we'll talk about Rome.
Yikes.
Because Rome is roaming.
Yikes.
We already touched on this, so we don't really have to talk about it, but one of my notes here was community Jeffrey ... really. And I mean, we don't have to. We harped on it a little bit when we started. And then we get to meet Andy, and Andy is afraid of weed. You got nothing, right?
I mean, especially someone who grew up in Brooklyn, New York. All respect to New York, but I mean, I live in a big city too. There's weed everywhere.
There is.
Like it's not like he's interesting fella, that Andy.
Yeah, Andy right out of the gates kind of was like, okay, this is giving me a little, like, I don't want to say too much I don't think he's giving me like Jelinski vibes, but he's giving me like maybe a cross between Banu and Jelinski a little bit.
I think that's fairly accurate. I think I remember now that I knew you picked him. And when I thought he was going to go out first, I was kind of laughing to myself. I'm like, oh man, Eric always picks the winners right away. But he's an interesting person. I mean, like, as we'll get into it as we go farther down the show, very unique character. If that's even the right way to put it.
It is. And they go into the reward challenge, and Andy makes a comment saying like, it's like we're taken into this gladiator arena This isn't an arena. This is just a part of the beach.
This is just a part of the beach that have the trees cut out of it.
Yeah, it's just a challenge. Like, you want to go to see an arena, we'll take you to Nicaragua where they filmed Redemption Island if you want to see an arena, because that was an arena.
Yes, that sure was.
Right?
So he's an interesting character.
Yes. And so they go into the reward challenge, and the reward challenge is they have to run into the jungle, or run under a mud net, run into the jungle, get puzzle pieces, run back, and then eventually later complete the puzzle. And that seemed accurate enough to that degree. But so they're doing it, and a few people did the buff thing where they put their buff over their eyes to dive in. Some people didn't, which I thought was weird. But yeah,
I'm not really sure one way or the other what makes the most sense.
I mean, I feel like the buff over the eyes does make sense because the buffs are thin. Because I have a buff. It's here. I'm looking right at it. I might even go put it on at some point.
You should.
I should. I'm very well might. But for the most part, like I said, the buffs are very thin, so the mud could easily get through the buff as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you don't put it on and you go through the mud, you take 2 seconds while you're running, you wipe your eye off on your shoulder and you're on your way.
But what if there's mud on your shoulder?
Then figure it out. I mean, I don't know. Figure it out. Use your bicep. Use something. Most of them have shirts on. Use your top of your shirt. I don't know. There's going to be some section that you can clean out your eye in 2 seconds. Figure it out.
So, Matt, if you were mad at me for the Survivor 40 several pun, you're not going to like the fact my newest pun when the Yellow Tribe was falling behind. I'm like, they gotta make up time.
Oh, geez. So we're going to get this all season 2? As long as it gets rid of the 40 several, I think I can live with it.
It will probably replace the 40 several, although 40 several is one of my favorite sayings.
Oh, I know. I'm well aware.
Just like your favorite saying is, "What are we doing here?"
Yeah, and I don't know if I have to use any of that at least this early.
I mean, maybe with Rome.
Well, I don't know what he was doing. I'm really not sure what his thought process was there.
No, for real. And did this puzzle feel like simple to you? Like
they got it like really quick. It was like all of a sudden they figured it out and they got it, and it was definitely not as challenging. This opening challenge was not as taxing as they had been in the past. Part of me wondered it's because there's been a handful of injuries in that opening challenge. Our guy Bruce, guy dislocated his shoulder. So this one seemed fairly laid back, where it's basically crawl under a net, go get a puzzle piece, and put it together. And I thought Sam did a good thing too by bringing his puzzle piece back and then going and helping carry the other piece.
Yeah, that was smart.
Yeah.
Like, that was actually pretty clever on his part, and that made me like that actually. And I'm going to be completely honest, like Sam, I love Sam. Like, I'm actually a fan of Sam.
Yeah, no, I thought he was. I thought he was great. That tribe kind of worries me a little bit.
They do.
But we'll see.
I wonder if we're going to get a tribe swap this season.
I can't imagine why we wouldn't, comparing that's like the new MO.
Or maybe we might not, and maybe maybe it'll be every odd season they have a tribe swap, and every even season they don't. Just like every odd season they're going to have the auction in every even season. They won't.
They might. Yeah, we'll see. We will definitely see how that goes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But ultimately, the Yellow Tribe got their win. And so they get their tribe supplies, and the other tribes have to pick somebody to go and get the tribe stuff. And I found it a little interesting that Asia volunteered, knowing her background as a Survivor podcaster or as a podcaster.
Yeah, but again, she's banking on nobody knows who she is. But yes, just knowing her. Well, she was probably thinking she was going to get some form of advantage.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would think, knowing how much she studies the game, that she would say, yeah, this isn't the best idea.
Yeah.
But she volunteered herself.
Yeah, and I thought that was...
It was an interesting choice.
Yeah. And then ultimately TK volunteers to go, or whether TK, three of their tribe wanted to go. They did like a rock, paper, scissors. Whoever does the odd thing is out, or to rock and paper.
No, it was supposed to be
rock and scissors.
Rock and scissors, and TK did paper.
TK, bless his heart. But ultimately, TK ends up going, and then they head to the beach. And then I got here, okay, Rome, I roll, because Rome's like, hey, Asia volunteered, good for her.
Yeah,
I would never want to miss out on the first 10 minutes or first few hours of strategizing. Like, she's just making herself an easy target.
Right.
Hey, Rome.
And that was actually a very smart move. And after that, I'm like, all right, my guy's pretty smart. And then he just he is not.
Yeah, he has 10 seconds of smartness, and then
that was
hits
enough.
The beach, and
that was enough for him.
Hits his beach, and his brain gets sucked out and sent back to the lab for testing.
Ain't that the truth?
But yeah, so we get to see a little bit of the tribe dynamics, and I got here, what's wrong with being a podcast host, John? Because John's like, when people ask me what I am, I have to say I'm a bleeping podcast host. What's wrong with that, John?
I mean,
you just insulted every podcast host ever.
Well, I mean, look, if we can make enough money at this podcast that I don't have to work any other job, I'm not going to be embarrassed to tell anybody.
Agreed.
I mean,
I'm already not embarrassed to tell people.
No, either am I, and I'm not making any money doing this. So if your career,
none of us are.
What do you say?
I said none of us are.
Right. But no, if your job is to host a podcast, like, I don't know why that's so embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think he was just saying, like, it was like he wants to tell people that he did the speeches with Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama.
You just say I'm a former speechwriter, and now I former speechwriter for the president, and now I host a podcast.
Yeah, like, they're not going to vote you off because you know the president or
right.
knew the president.
And on his tribe, most of the people are younger kids. They're not listening to Pod Save America.
No, they're not. I'm not listening to Pod Save America. I have no idea. I had no idea he was a podcaster when I picked him.
I did, because they showed it last year.
They showed him last year, but I didn't remember.
I can't say I know what they talk about in Pod Save America.
Man, I'd be lucky if I could remember what I wrote in my notes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's politics.
Hard to tell, really. One of these days we'll have to listen to it. Or one of these days you'll have to listen to it and tell me about it.
Okay, great. Looking forward to it.
Okay, and then we got a couple notes that I forgot why I wrote them. Because I got here, what, Andy, ... like, WTF.
I'm sure, I mean, there was so much about him rambling on about his insecurities and his...
Maybe it's something to do with his social game thing.
it could have been like somebody made a comment about having like 7 friends, and he's like, oh, that many? So that could have been what it is. But
yeah, there's lots of stuff it could be. And then we get a little bit of the Blue Tribe dynamic where Gabe is wanting to align with an older lady.
It's actually pretty smart.
Agreed.
It's actually not a stupid, because nobody wants to go align with the older people usually. And we see that the older person usually takes, and I don't think Sue is going to be this, because Sue is amazingly awesome. But always the older female usually takes on the motherly, grandmotherly role. But Sue likes driving airplanes and all kinds of stuff. So she's going to be bad to the bone, which I love.
Yes. I highly doubt we will be calling Sue Mama Sue.
Yeah, no. I'm not anticipating that being the case whatsoever.
Yeah, and we see Sue kind of also align with Caroline a little bit. And
yes,
bond with her to some degree.
That's the Chicago girl you stole from me, if I'm not mistaken.
Didn't steal. I had the pick and I picked her.
No, stole. I mean, carry on. But no, Sue's great.
You're never going to get over that, are you?
No, not at all. Sue is great. Love everything about her. Actually, there weren't many people I didn't like in this. Well, there were a couple.
There always is.
Yeah. I mean, Andy, I wasn't a huge fan of. Rome, I don't know what he was doing.
No.
I'm not even sure I know who Kyle is yet.
Kyle had a weird opening thing where he pointed out.
Yeah, this is the guy with the construction worker.
He was in like 12 foster homes before he.
Yeah, no, I did like him. Gabe, fine. Teeny, fine.
I didn't really like Teeny all that much. And there's a note here because I said Teeny's doing too much, because Teeny and her, when the Red Tribe got together, was like doing. I felt like she was doing too much. Like.
Well, and she made a weird comment.
Be everyone's best friend.
She made a weird comment when someone approached her about being like in a group of 4, and she's like, "Well, I want, what is it, Asia?" Is that
yeah, she said she wants to give Asia a shot to grab that 4th spot.
Right, which not sure I'd say that out loud.
Especially since like that kind of could raise some red flags to like the fact that maybe she knows who Asia is. I doubt that anyone would pick up on that, but
no, I mean, and I thought the same thing, that she obviously knew who she was and knows her survivor perceived skill. But I'm not sure I would say that out loud.
Exactly. And I don't think anybody really like read into it that much.
Right. No, I agree. I love Sierra. I think she's great.
Sierra was hilarious.
I really like Rachel as well.
Yeah, Rachel's good too.
Rachel's comments about Andy were pretty hilarious.
Oh yeah.
She, like, Rachel, I really, and I don't know if I have her on my team or you have her on yours.
I have her on my team.
That's unfortunate. But I thought she was like really smart. Like, she kind of knew, we're not going to wake up early and go sit on the beach, us two talking, because I don't know how far she's going to go or what's going to happen, but I really liked her first appearance.
Yeah, she's definitely getting the thing. So I'm glad your team's doing too much, and then we get to see the quote unquote journey, or the quote unquote Sweat versus Savvy new thing to replace Sweat versus Savvy. It's now they go to a beach. They each have to go down a path, find 3 keys, and then whoever finds the 4th key that's in the ocean wins and gets the tribe supplies for their people.
Absolutely hated it.
You absolutely hated it. This could be interesting.
Well, it was like, again, I get in context, we don't know how long it took them, but it seems like once they got to where the pictures were, it was easy. And I don't know, it just, I don't know. It's the first time I've ever done it, so maybe I need to let it grow on me a little bit. But
yeah, but I mean, you didn't. I know. I mean, I can't speak for you, but I know when Sweat and Savvy came into play, I hated it.
yeah,
Like that very first time they did it, and I honestly can tell you, I still hated it.
yeah. I
And
mean, it just seemed very easy. Now
Well,
again,
yeah,
context, we don't know. They could have been out there 6 hours. I have no
yeah.
idea. But
I don't think they were out there 6 hours.
It seemed like they were just finding these things,
Yeah.
Super quick.
Could have been a couple hours, and I don't believe that Asia was actually ever in the lead. I think TK actually found all his stuff first.
Yeah.
Because the way they were showing it, just like no way TK gets back first even if Asia gets lost on the map, like on the trail.
Yeah.
Gets there as fast as he does.
Whatever.
Yeah. And I did like TK here in the sense that he didn't use the path when he found the third key. He just like pushed through and tried to find the beach.
I mean, that's smart.
And that's why I got here. You don't need the path, Asia, because Asia was trying to find the path.
Yeah, just running in circles.
Yeah, basically. And something I did like with Asia though is when TK found the thing, she tried to wrestle it away from him.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, as you could see in his eyes, he's like, "What am I supposed to do here?" He's like, "I'm not going to just like tackle this woman," and like you could see, he was like, okay, like what am I supposed to do here with the, we got this woman who's being rightfully so being aggressive, trying to win, and he's this bigger, probably double the size of her, and he's just like, okay, no, you're not doing this.
Yeah,
because that was kind of funny.
Like, yeah, because he immediately goes, yeah, no, and honestly, he complains about it later, but I think he low-key respected it too.
Yeah,
like you have to, right? Like, because she's not gonna like, he would have probably done the same thing, or maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, you got to try.
Yeah. Because, like, he could take, like, 20 minutes to get it off.
Right. It's like once he gets it, is it his to... What's the protocol?
Yeah, exactly. Also, something worth noting, too, was when he went into the ocean, he couldn't see the thing because all the mud that he had on, like, washed off in the ocean, covering the thing. And I'm like, why didn't you guys wash off first? Like, you guys had time.
It's a great question. Like you would think they would just hop off the boat, get in the water, clean themselves off a minute, or clean themselves off before they went on the journey, cool off before you get on this boat ride. But apparently
Unless
that wasn't in the cards.
Weren't allowed to.
Maybe not. I mean, that was definitely not in the cards.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird, but I'm okay with it. Like, I was fine with it. I just found that to be a little bit funny.
Yeah, and it seemed like the purple thing was just like right at the surface too. So it couldn't, I mean,
yeah,
shouldn't have been that hard.
No, it shouldn't have been. What do I know? I mean, yeah, what exactly? We're not out there. We don't know. We don't know how far down it is. Plus, it looked like I think TK only really found it because the tide kind of pushed it up a little bit, or like there was like a wave.
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was neat.
It was definitely one of those things. And then we cut back to, so TK gets the advantage, or gets the items, I should say, not really the advantage. And then we cut back to the Yellow Tribe, and we get to see a little bit more of their dynamics with Annika being, or Anika or Annika or whatever her name was, being a little bit bossy. Like, seems like she's a little bit over-prepared.
Yeah. I mean, they all seem to be at this point. The show's been on pretty much their entire lives. So they're and there's so much information to gather that they all go out there trying to figure out how they're going to do things, which way they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And with people's personalities, somebody's going to be bossy.
Oh, for sure.
On each tribe.
Yes, it's inevitable.
Right. Which is why John wanted to target her, because she was like the overbearing person.
Yeah.
And I'll save what I have to say till we get to it. But yeah, that was kind of that process.
Yeah, and I missed that part the first watch, because for those who don't know, I did the Survivor watch party on my Twitch during the episode of the premiere. There was some technical difficulties around the hour and a half mark that made me miss 10 minutes of the like a good 5-10 minutes of the episode, and miss a little bit of the tribe dynamics.
Did you forget to pay your cable bill?
No, I did not forget to pay my cable bill. I don't forget to pay bills, I don't think.
Happens sometimes.
But anyways, so then I got your, well, okay, Sam, because Sam talks about how he wants to be the glue guy. You see it in sports, the glue guy. He's not the best on the team, but he's on the team. And I still like him.
I see why he said that, though, too, because I think he knows he probably has a dominant personality, and it's like, all right, I gotta draw it back, or else I'm gonna put a big target on my back. So I kind of understand where he was coming from. And again, it's when you do these confessionals early in the season, all these people are so cocky that it comes off as, and that could have even been before they even got out there, for all we know.
Exactly.
So I understand where you're coming from. I also understand where he's coming from as well.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of cocky, TK comes back to the Blue Tribe with his stuff and says, my tribe, there's no way my tribe's going to vote me off first now that I got this stuff for them. Like, I just bought all this goodwill. Like, there's no way they are voting me off first. You can still be the first boot from your tribe, TK.
Yeah, a lot of cockiness out there.
Like, quite a bit. And I didn't like TK.
I didn't dislike him. I mean, I think he was the physical force in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
He was the dominant physical male in this episode.
But he's still giving me Q vibes.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I think I need to see more of it before I'm ready, because Q was just so over the top.
Of course. Even in that first episode, you could tell he was over the top.
But I could see what you're saying. I'm getting it.
Yeah. And then we get the first Beware advantage to be found, and it's found by Gabe.
Are these just too easy to find now?
I think so, because this one looked like it was literally just on on like a everyday tree that they would grab to try and build shelter with.
Or maybe it's because it makes somebody lose a vote and creates drama. They just like make it so people can find them. Like, I don't know. It just seems like they all find these things way too easily.
Agreed. It does seem like he found it like super easy. And the thing, we're going to talk a little bit later on about how Rome handled this finding of the Beware advantage kind of poorly. But what I don't get is that Gabe also didn't handle this well. Like he immediately goes in, grabs the thing.
Yep.
Then he immediately goes for the key.
Yep.
It's day one, dog.
I mean, he dropped the box down the rock that everybody heard clanking. He got caught by TK swinging the thing.
And TK didn't buy it.
No, I mean, there was just a lot of overzealous gameplay.
No, yeah, it's like you find this thing on day one. Like you don't need to like get the thing on day one. Like
Right.
tribal council's not till day 3.
Right.
You have a full 48 hours before you potentially have to go to tribal, if you have to go to tribal.
Right. Right. And if you don't have to go, then you got more time.
Exactly. And eventually they let you get your vote back.
Right.
Like they don't keep your vote forever.
Yep, you are correct.
And TK was not buying it, and I don't think I would have bought it either if like he said, "Oh, I found it like this before," because unless you're looking for it, nobody's really finding a key.
Well, how would you find it at the top of vines on a rock?
You wouldn't. Without the clue, you wouldn't.
And again, we're not on the beach. What would you even been doing over there to get that?
Looking for rocks for a fire pit. Seeing if you could chip rocks away from the rock wall.
I guess.
I don't know. This is just me speculating.
Right.
But Gabe thought he fooled TK. TK didn't buy it, or maybe TK did buy it, but I don't think he bought it.
Yeah, no one was fooled.
And then we get Rome being suspect because we cut over to his tribe, and he is just looking for this thing.
I mean, everybody's hanging out but him.
Mm-hmm. And right away, but he finds it too. And maybe these things are too easy to find if he's finding it.
It just seems that way. I mean, I don't think the yellow tribe looked.
I don't think they did either.
But the two tribes that have people going out and looking found them.
Yeah. Like, I think the yellow tribe chilled and tried to begin their social dynamics.
Right.
But then, so I got here, wait till night, Rome, because Rome's like, I can't dig for this now. Like, I have to wait till night. He did what Gabe should have done.
Yeah.
Was wait till nighttime. He's being patient about this.
Yes, he is being patient. But also being obvious about it.
Yes. So obvious. And so then we cut back to the blue tribe with Gabe wanting to now look for his thing. And he enlists Sue's help as a lookout. Sue is one of the worst lookouts I think I've ever seen in my life.
I just don't think she knew what to do. They didn't really talk through if someone's coming, what do you do?
Mm-hmm, exactly. They didn't really plan this. He just showed her the advantage and said, keep an eye out. And all she said was, I'm tending the fire.
Yeah. They just didn't really plan that out very well.
And there was a simple solution. Gabe knew where the box was. All he has to do is run to where the box is, dig it, pull it out, and then walk away.
Right.
Which is what he ended up doing, but it's weird. And then he opens the box, and we find out there is a catch. The idol that he found was good for one tribal council. But if he drops it in this hole and takes on another task, he can extend its life to 3 tribals.
I mean,
I'm loving the catch.
What did you say? You did love it or you didn't?
I did love it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. It's something different. And then obviously, as we see, it could go from 3 or it could go all the way to the final 5.
Yes, and we'll talk about why I find Gabe annoying with that. And when I because there's a note here I got, yeah, no shit, Gabe. Because Gabe, when he got the one to get the 3, he was like, what? What? Do they not want me to get this idol? There's another catch? Did you not think that there was going to be another catch? think they're just going to give you an idol for 3 tribals and not give you an opportunity to extend it to final 5 when idols are supposed to expire anyways?
Right.
Like, give your head a shake, man.
These characters don't really get it.
They don't. And Matt, I have a question for you because they cut back over to the Yellow Tribe. Do you remember Vine?
Do I remember what?
Vine.
Yeah, I remember Vine.
I remember Vine too. They made John think because they were talking about Vine, and I remember Vine. I wonder if Matt remembers Vine.
Yeah, absolutely remember Vine.
I feel like we all remember Vine. And then we get the Rachel befriending Andy, but smartly telling him, like, hey, don't pull me aside, like, don't pull me off at the beginning of the thing.
Right. Let's not wake up early before everybody else and go sit at the beach and do that. And that's where I was like, okay, she's pretty smart.
Yeah,
she knows
smart.
She knows what has to be done, how it has to be done, where it has to be done. It didn't work.
No, because Andy begins his spiral,
which I don't understand. I guess that just must be the person that his personality.
It possibly could be because he's spiraling.
But
he gets up and wakes her up, and then
so that if somebody woke me up 2 days into the game, like I'd lose my shit. Like I'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, you'd be like, "What are we doing here?"
Like, why are you waking me up? Like, this really couldn't wait 3 hours because I'm assuming they're not sleeping 8-hour nights.
No, no, it's
like, what are you doing here, sir?
Yeah, really. What are we doing here? Like, why are you waking me up at the middle of the night to talk about your anxiety?
Right.
And then he's getting upset because they're not cheering for him when he opens a coconut. And I watched a TikTok with Tyson, from like foreign player Tyson, who said, like, nobody should be cheering for anyone opening a coconut.
Agreed.
Like, especially a young, fit guy like Andy.
Well,
like,
yeah,
John doing it, yes.
And when they're cheering, they're probably just like joking around, because you have so much time to kill and you're so bored that they're probably just like, hey, like not even, they're not singling anybody out to cheer for anybody. Like, chill out, bro.
Yes, Andy, he begins his spiral. And
yeah, sure does. That's putting it kindly.
Yeah. So we can skip this because I already touched on it, but they've got the no shit Gabe. And then Rome starts looking for his idol. And he has to dump water on a log to reveal a message that his key is in the well. Have you ever seen The Simpsons?
Yeah.
When Bart fell in the well?
Yeah.
I thought that was what was going to happen to Rome.
That would have been pretty funny.
I thought he was literally going to fall in the well.
So obviously the well's not very deep.
No.
I'm not pretending I'm the smartest guy around by any means. How does fresh water get it? How does fresh water get in there?
I have no earthly idea.
If anyone's watching, listening, if anyone watches this, listens to this, drop us a line on how fresh water gets in that well. Because I'm assuming there's not just like a fresh brook or a spring that they could drink out of there. And so I'd be very curious how fresh water gets into that.
I would agree.
Into all 3 of the wells.
Yes, that's something worth noting. I do agree with you that I don't think that well is very deep. Just because he was able to like stick his whole body in it to get the key. I don't know where they put the key.
Right.
Like, plus, so there's now a metal. So you're telling me now there's a metal key in the water? Wouldn't that make your...
Well, unless it wasn't in the... I mean, when we have
Yeah.
Rome on the show, we'll have to ask him.
Agreed. Yeah, we'll have to ask him how how far in that idol was, because, or that key was, because, my God, I just thought it would have been hilarious if he fell in and then, like, needs help getting out and has to call for his tribe.
I'm guessing he couldn't have fallen in.
I would agree with that.
Like, I'm guessing his arm got all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, that's my guess too, maybe, but I don't know. I just thought that would have been hilarious.
Oh, no, without a doubt, it would have been very hilarious.
Whether or not that actually would have happened, I doubt it, but hilarious nonetheless.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. It would have brought
But
chuckles.
he's making himself a target because they all see him do it and then they see him run off.
Oh, if they would have lost, he would have been gone.
Oh, absolutely. Like, he doesn't need to worry about playing his eye, like, extending the life of the idol. Like, he's going to need it for that first tribal.
Correct.
Regardless. I mean, now that he has an idol, though, he does have some agency.
Yeah, he has some protection.
Some protection and a little bit of agency. Like, if he pulls someone in, like, somebody could say, okay, now I trust you.
Right.
So then we dive into the immunity challenge. And I could never for the life of me figure out why they also added a reward to this.
I don't know either. It makes no sense to me.
Because in the history of Survivor, that's never usually the case, unless
no,
it's
but
like
they've done it a lot more recently.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's a cost cutting to then only have to do one challenge an episode instead of having to build out and do two.
Yeah.
Because, I'm just trying to think out loud here, as I know people have complained how there's not reward challenges and then immunity challenges. So it's like they combine two into one and say, well, the company line could be like, it's expensive to do these. So now it just do 2 in 1.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've never seen that happen with the first, like, tribal.
I also don't like when you lose, they take away your flint. And I probably mentioned it last time. It's just dumb.
Matt, we have mentioned that in every single, like, ever since we started talking about the seasons together. Like, back in season 45, like, I think our anniversary podcast is coming up, where our first time podcasting together.
Could be. Actually, I think it's past, because I think we podcasted together a little bit at the end of 44.
Yeah, but I think we did, like, no, we didn't.
Was last season my first? Did I do the fall with you or just the spring?
You did the fall with me.
Right.
45, you did a few episodes.
So then, right. So
that was when I was trying it out and then finding co-hosts, and you did all of 46 with me.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it is coming up on about a year.
Yeah. But when we first sat down to talk about this, that was one of the things we talked about.
Yeah. It just makes no sense to give it back and forth, and I'm just not into it.
No, I don't like the taking away the flint either. I've never liked the taking away of the flint.
Like, once you earn it, you get it, it's yours.
Exactly. Like, it should be yours and not. So the challenge is they have to go in a boat. They have to put chests on their boat. Then they have to drag their boat through a net thing and then build a puzzle. Soul, your guy Soul, completely beasted this.
Yeah, he did.
Like, this dude is going to be a target for being, like, a muscular dude.
Yeah, he's a big, strong guy. He did very well in that challenge. It was weird because it didn't seem like that. I mean, I guess the risk to that challenge was the boat tipping over, which happened almost 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
But I mean, essentially, it was a straight line paddle, get a chest, straight line paddle, push it up a beach, put a puzzle together.
Yes. And this puzzle, like we'll talk about it in a little bit, but I think this puzzle seemed relatively easy to solve too, because that red
Yeah.
tribe solved it like in like 30, seemed like 2
Yeah,
minutes.
like I feel like both the challenges in this episode were uncharacteristically easy.
Yes. Like this wasn't the gecko thing from 46.
No, I mean, and this was like, it looked like how you had to move your boat. It was like 20 yards. Like you barely had to go anywhere.
Yes. I do have my okay, chill out, Jeff, because Jeff is screaming disaster. Like this is one of the worst starts in Survivor history. It's like
it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. Their boats tipped over
in 2 foot water.
Exactly.
You know, in 2 foot water. So they turned it around, got back in, and went on their day.
Yeah, they all continue, and then during the puzzle, Andy passes out or overheats.
Has a panic attack.
Potential panic attack. I think he just like overheated or overexerted himself.
And then just starts blurting out God knows what.
Yes, that's how he just starts his meltdown. And then Jeff comes over to him and is like, I'm getting voted out. I'm getting voted out. And in that moment, I'm thinking about you. And you're going to say the one thing, like, when that happens, you're thinking the same thing as me. Ain't no way Andy's getting voted off.
Correct.
Because I got your odds are it won't be Andy.
No, you knew it wasn't going to be him.
Yeah. This wasn't like Jelinski where I thought maybe there might be a shot that Jelinski gets voted off here.
Yeah, no, there was no chance when they went in that whole scene, and then they bring you back to the beach where they start talking about John or Annika or whatever her name is. You're like, yep, Andy's not going anywhere.
Yeah, 100%. But Andy does have a very public meltdown where he talks about he wanted to throw John under the bus. And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really, I mean, I guess this strategy worked, but I'm not really sure what was going on as he was doing this. Like, what was going through his brain? Like, he's obviously, I don't even know how to explain this.
Yeah. It is difficult to kind of like just explain like what exactly he was going through his head, because we're not out there. We don't know. Like, but
yeah, he just like kind of lost it.
It did seem a little bit out there.
Like he had like a nervous breakdown. Basically had like a nervous breakdown, had no control of what he was doing or saying, and was just blabbing off the cuff.
That is the generalization of what probably happened.
Yeah, just had no control of anything that was going on and just totally lost it.
Mm-hmm.
Blabbing. Yeah. Not knowing the best way to save himself, so just blabbing some more.
Yeah, and it worked. It saved him.
It did.
I mean, I think it
did not
might have had something to do with 46 a little bit, too, in a sense that I think because these people probably saw some of 46. So they saw them vote off Jelinski, and then the very next episode, there's a challenge where you need a Jelinski type.
I mean, they didn't go. The filming started in May.
Yeah, so they 100% saw.
So they saw like 90% of the season.
Yeah,
figure they leave May 1st and got home July 1st.
Yeah, so So they 100% saw. So these guys did see that they do need strength.
Yes.
Or over, because we, like said, that 46, when they voted off Jelinski, the very next challenge was something that Jelinski could have done in his sleep.
Well, and that's why I thought they might have, when John started talking about Annika, I thought maybe she would go.
Yes.
But then the young people kind of overruled it.
Yeah, they did. And because they got here, yes, you need strength. And they talked, like, Sam did talk about, like, that John's playing too hard.
Well, yeah, John is obviously a smart guy.
Yeah, and that threatened them.
Right. The intelligence, like, threatened them. And I mean, like, there's no older people really in this game anymore. I mean, there's 3 people over 40. John is 42, Saul is 43, Sue's 59.
I never would have guessed Saul is 43.
Right, but then you look at that, and there's not another person over 35. So you're looking at 3 people total, 35 or older. The next oldest after that is Rachel at 34.
That's crazy.
So it's all, I mean, they've really turned it into a young person's game. Because I was actually thinking, like, when you look at that Gada tribe, like,
gotta look at
the dynamics of it, John didn't have a chance.
No, he didn't. No, he 100% didn't.
He was
with the tribe of youngins.
Right. And he's the older guy. But then I look at the other tribes, and like Lavo, it's ages 32, 24, 33, 30, 28, 43. But I didn't feel like Saul would be on the out. Maybe that's because
he's
Rome
a beast.
was so crazy.
Rome's so crazy, and Saul is literally like...
Right. But then you look at the other tribe too. It's 27, 31, 59, 31, 26, 27. Has it become too age imbalanced that it really gives the older people? I mean, I guess Gabler won recently.
Gross.
But who was the older lady on the season with D?
Julie.
I mean, she stayed around for a while, but she had no chance to win.
No, she didn't either.
So it just
she came close to winning some immunity challenges that season, but
sure. But like, if you're the older person, you don't have a chance really, and that's why I'm really interested to see Gabe with Sue. Somebody who's seeking that out.
For sure. And I think maybe you're onto something, that maybe they overcorrected a little, because they started doing, like their 50% diversity thing, where like half the class is diversity, like people of color, but now it's so there's not a lot of older people, and maybe there's just not enough older people applying.
And that very well, I mean, and I guess if you look back at, I'm going to go look at something real quick. So if you go to, let's see, Survivor. Well, I cannot spell it all. What was Survivor 3? Was Survivor Africa?
Yeah. This is me being my Survivor Rayman. I'll tell you.
Well, the early ones I can remember. It's when we get going that.
Yeah.
Okay, so like when you look at the 3rd season of Survivor, you had, so this is just over 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 of the 16 were over 40.
Wow.
Only 1 over 50, which was Kim. But you have like 45, 42, 43, 40. I mean, you have nobody. It's funny. The only person you have in that whole season who was in their 30s was Lex.
Yeah.
It was either 40s and above or under 30.
Yeah. That's
so
crazy.
I know we don't have the time to do it now, but we'd have to really look at that trend of when it.
Yeah, that could be a future thing. Like we don't, unless you want to go for 5 hours. I think
No. But
we're
I
not
just
gonna.
looked at season 4, and there's only 4 people 40 or above, but then a ton of people in their 30s.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, we'll table that for another time.
Oh, absolutely. And then I got here that's true, Rachel, because Rachel then says like, well, what if Andy just has another meltdown or has a meltdown on a journey or something of that sort. It's like talks about potentially like Andy having another meltdown and that being a problem, and she's right. That's a problem.
No, she's fully accurate. But then I think he was and is stronger than John. But now that gives
100%.
them the easy, hey, if we lose again, he's going.
Yes, absolutely.
Where John could have worked his way in with somebody else.
Yeah.
So that really gives them that easy,
Mm-hmm.
that easy way out.
Yeah, and then we had a little bit of tribal, and I don't remember exactly why I would write lol Sierra, but I think Sierra said something funny.
Yeah, I mean, she's entertaining.
She was.
I'm sure she said something funny, but yeah, she was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we know if the Shot in the Dark is back this season?
They didn't mention it. Nobody
They didn't
mentioned
mention
it.
it. Nobody mentioned it at all. That's why I was curious because that was something because I got there was no one played a Shot in the Dark,
Yeah.
which
No.
makes me think maybe there isn't. And I didn't see the little urn thing that they had beside it.
No. I didn't even think about that. It was
I have to
not
keep a
mentioned.
lookout on it next.
Yeah, it
Next
was
watch
not
party.
mentioned at all. I wish too Jeff would stop saying if anyone has an advantage or an idol and you want to play it, now would be the time. Unless they tell them before the game that there's going to be advantages and idols.
Mm-hmm.
Just leave it like.
Yeah, because he says it in the first episode. Like, what are the odds in the history of Survivor? When is there ever what's like the odds of like an idol
Right.
being played in the first
I
tribal?
wish
Like, I
he
think I've
wouldn't.
only ever seen that once.
I wish he wouldn't throw it out there so early that there are
Yeah.
idols and it make these people think, whoa, are there? Aren't there?
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone goes in now knowing that
Well,
there
and I'm pretty
is.
sure then he has to say,
Mm-hmm.
probably legally, well, they didn't give me time to play my advantage and I would have been done this or that.
Yeah.
But I just wish he wouldn't say it.
Yeah. Agreed. To some degree, I agree with you. Then I got here, Cry Me a River, because Andy is having another tribal meltdown. Only this time, at least it's at tribal.
I mean, this is kind of his thing.
And I also got here facts, John, because John makes a good point. Like, Andy you did that publicly. Like, you publicly called me out. Like, you have to understand, like, obviously I'm going to be upset about that. Rightfully so, too.
100%. 100%.
And so they finally get to the voting, and John gets voted off in a 5-1 vote.
Yeah. Which we kind of saw coming as they were going voting.
As I got to there, I saw it coming. We all knew it wasn't going to be Andy, and I didn't, because like I said, I had technical difficulties like before the tribal part, like during the watch party, so I missed like that Annika was even an option.
Yeah.
And I was confused about why the vote came when the vote for Annika came up. I'm like, wait, what? I thought it was gonna be Andy.
Yeah.
And then once I rewatched it, I got the context. So.
Yep.
But it was still interesting to say the least.
Yeah, it was a good first episode. a lot to cover in the first episode. That's the problem with these 3 tribes is it makes it a lot to cover.
Yeah, exactly. You found 2 tribes find a beware advantage, and then they talk about next week. Like I guess Rome's doing a lot. Andy drops some kind of a bomb, and like blue tribe, some people lose their minds. I have no idea, honestly.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens this week.
The previews you got to take with a grain of salt a little bit. You can't read.
Yeah, especially this early in the game, they're gonna
try and hype it.
Yeah, I was reading what it had online here. What did it say? Where did I find it here? Oh, no, I mean, the title of the episode next time is Epic Boss Girl Move. So I'm expecting one of the females to do something.
Something epic, maybe?
Yeah, which will be cool. Yeah. No, good.
It was good first episode. I don't think there's ever been a bad first episode of Survivor.
No, there's just a lot going on.
Unless somebody quits. Right. Even then, or somebody gets medevaced in the first episode.
Which thankfully we haven't had in a while.
Agreed. Not since Bruce in 44. But even then, somebody still got voted off in the first episode.
Right. So no, good start to the season. We probably got 3-4 more episodes till it really starts getting good.
John gets the boot, and I want to make this a regular thing of us giving away a frickin' fresh award. I know it's going to be difficult because only one tribe went to tribal, so we only got to see one tribe handle the vote off dynamics.
Yep.
But I think I am kind of inclined to throw the nominees to Sam, Saul, or Aisha. Or sorry, Asia.
I wouldn't give Aisha. I wouldn't put her in there.
Okay.
I would go. I mean, I'd go Saul, Sam, or TK.
Yeah, and I don't want to give it to TK. TK was way too cocky.
Yeah, but I mean, he's probably the one who deserves to win.
TK or Saul?
TK.
Yeah,
I mean, he was good in the first challenge. He was, he found he beat Aisha. Yeah. It seemed like he was good in the. I mean, look, I think I'm fine with either 3 of them winning.
I think we should give it to drumroll Sam.
Congratulations, Sam.
I think Sam did a great job this episode.
Yeah.
And he definitely, I don't see him getting voted off until the merge. I really don't. Unless they pull some sort of
tribe swap, who knows?
Tribe getting swap screwed.
Right.
But ultimately, Matt, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about from this episode?
I don't. I think we covered a various array of topics.
Yes, we covered quite a bit. We always cover a lot.
Yeah. So I think we're good. Let's see how the episode or the season continues to progress.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, to say the least, to see how this season goes.
Yeah, very interested to see what happens. I'm excited for it. And we'll be back at it next week.
Yes, absolutely. So, shall we discuss what's coming on down the pike for the King Frick Fresh Entertainment Group?
We absolutely should. I mean, I need to join you guys for the challenge podcast again here soon because I got lots of thoughts being stored up there.
Yeah, there was quite a bit with that, and we'll talk off air because I think we might be able to pull you in on something. But anyways, so as I said before at the beginning of this episode, we are in live podcast week, as all week long we'll be recording live podcasts. Yesterday, me and Tommy, despite all the technical difficulties, talked about Big Brother 26. You can check that out over on Spotify.
It's still going on?
Big Brother, yes. It's still going on until October 13th.
Wow, that's a long time.
The day before Canadian Thanksgiving.
Okay. Do you guys eat turkey for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, sometimes eat ham, but my mom does make a little turkey too.
Okay.
My
Good
dad
to
doesn't
know.
like turkey. There won't be any issues with recording for that
Oh,
because we do.
We'll make it work, you know. And
we do. Yeah, of course.
just was curious.
Earlier today, I recorded my Traders Canada Season 2 cast preview. That was up on the YouTube page at 5 o'clock today. You can go check that out when you're done listening to me here. I couldn't, for the life of me, get it on the Spotify because of some issue with the file. Don't ask. Don't ask. Technology. I hate technology. Then tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern Time, me, Tommy, and Diego will be back to talk about the Challenge Season 40. I'm very excited for that.
It's going to be a sad episode.
It's gonna be a lot. We're gonna have a lot to talk about with that episode because there was a lot going on. Also, it's funny that Matt mentioned Survivor Marquesas on this podcast because there will be a Fricka Fresh Profiles coming out on Friday. I'm recording it on Thursday with none other than John Carroll.
Why didn't I get invited to this?
It's on Thursday, so you can't do it. We'll talk off air. We'll talk off air. I wanted to see your reaction to the fact that that we finally set this up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the dark here
because we've been setting this up for weeks, and I wanted to get his live reaction. Obviously, that was a mistake.
I'm in the dark here.
So be on the lookout for that as well. As always, Matt, thank you for joining me to talk about Survivor.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And also on Wednesday, I'll be live on Twitch, twitch.tv/KingFrickFreshGames to talk about for the Survivor 47 Episode 2 watch party.
I hope you have better luck with your technology.
You know what?
This time.
Technology sucks. I hate it.
It could be a problem in
technology. But that is what's coming up down the pike for the King Frick Fresh Entertainment Group. Matt, as always, pleasure hosting with you. We will be back next week to talk about 47 Episode 2. I almost said 47.
Sounds good.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you on the flip side. Laters.